The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature and not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.
For millions of Americans who retire every year, the task of ensuring that your money is working hard enough to provide you with a consistent paycheck can make the job of working for that paycheck seem easy. Retirement doesn't signal the end of financial worry. In fact, for the majority of retirees, it's just the beginning. The assets you have built must be able to provide you and your family with financial security for all the years to come. That's why you need a game plan for retirement, making sure you have a plan and that your money is working hard to provide you with an income you can depend on. This is your game plan for retirement.
And welcome into Your Game Plan for Retirement, the show that challenges some of the traditional financial planning concepts and outdated conventional wisdom on building for financial success. And we talk about the income allocation model that has proven to provide for more financial freedom in retirement. And we always check in with your local income allocation advisors. They are the team from ASC Financial Group, Ralph and Josiah Grauso. And this week on the program, we have Josiah Grauso joining us from ASC Financial Group, a retirement built to last. Josiah, welcome into the program.
Thanks, Peter. Great to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure having you on the program. And we have talked with Ralph about some of the difficulties that today's generation of retirees are having when they are trying to transition into or planning for a secure retirement. Can you talk to us a little bit about some of the challenges that you are seeing today's retiring generation face that maybe weren't so much of a challenge 20 or 30 years ago?
Yeah, I would tell you the biggest challenge that I see is where it comes into retirement vehicles, especially with your employer. You think 20, 30, 40 years ago, we had these things called defined benefit plans that we had, otherwise known as pensions. And with these defined benefit plans, we were working with a company for 20, 30, 40 years for basically our entire career. And trade-off is when we got into retirement age, we were going to get a stream of income as the form of a pension that we can use for the rest of our life. And we've kind of started changing, and we've morphed that from a defined benefit plan to a defined contribution plan, otherwise known as 401ks, 403bs, 457s, and the like, where the onus has really shifted a little bit more on the employee to contribute and to have that money grow. And the biggest issue that we have now there is this market risk and the potential for market to draw down some of our accounts and for a potential of running out of money, as opposed to a form of a pension. We really didn't have that going forward from there. So I think that's probably been the most significant change that we have seen over the last 15, 20, 30 years or so.
And this is a pretty big fundamental shift in the way that we must then shoulder the burden of planning and preparing for our own retirement. When those pensions were available to workers, they could basically see their future in a way, in the fact that they knew that if they worked 5 more years or until a certain age, they were going to have a certain amount of retirement income, and even thereafter they knew that that income was going to last for as long as they did. That was a pretty beneficial component of a sound retirement plan, wasn't it?
Absolutely, Peter. I could just think of my own grandfather right now who has a nice pension and forms of guaranteed income coming in, and he would be spending his money one month and he never really worried about it. Why? Because he knew next month he'd get the exact same paycheck, the exact same amount of money, and he knew that money was coming in. So his other personal assets he didn't really need to dip into or touch because he was getting enough of guaranteed income. He didn't have to worry about and touch that. It's just a very big paradigm shift that we've seen in this country.
And because we were putting in long careers with the same company, usually we were working 30 years with one company, they then took on the burden and the responsibility of funding for us our retirement. But with the advent of the 401k, that burden and that responsibility has been shifted much more onto each of us individually to plan and prepare and try to create that same type of retirement security through that stream of income, except now we're doing it off of the 401k, which is an asset, and it doesn't correlate the same way into a stream of income in retirement, does it, Josiah?
Not at all. I mean, if you can talk to a handful of different advisors out there and you might have a different withdrawal number from each of them, I would tell you the most consistent that we hear of right now is probably the rule of 4%, where you could take out 4% of that 401k or your investments that you have every single year, increase it by inflation 2.5% or 3% every year, and you shouldn't run out of money. This was a theory that was created back in the 1990s. Unfortunately, today, that has a 58% failure rate. It's not going to last. The new rule is about 1.88% before you're to run out of money. And it's a big change that we really need to be paying attention to. And honestly, my parents, my grandparents, the generations before us really didn't have to focus too much on because they had that guaranteed stream.
Well, folks, the team at ASC Financial Group, they make retirement built to last, and that is their motto. That is what they help their clients accomplish. And if you have questions about how to do that for your own situation, I encourage you to pick up the phone and give them a call, because the team, Ralph Grauso, Josiah Grauso, who you hear on the program today, they make their time available to you on a complimentary, no-obligation basis to look over your game plan for retirement, talk about your goals, discuss where you are financially, and make sure that you are on the best path to achieving your future financial goals and have that kind of financial security that I think retirees are really looking for once they transition to no longer earning a paycheck. And if you would like to take them up on that offer, all you have to do is pick up the phone and give them a call at 800-939-8633. Again, that number, 800-939-8633. Or if you're technically savvy, you can just text ASC to 555-888. Again, you can just text ASC to 555-888 or call 800-939-8633 to find out a little bit more information. Josiah, could you describe for us what it is that you see, kind of the spectrum, and maybe who you can help in your office? Some of us are feeling like we are very confident, very prepared, have saved ample savings in our retirement accounts, and others of us maybe have done that savings but don't have the confidence that we can make the transition to retirement successfully and maintain our standard of living. I know the motto at ASC Financial Group is a retirement built to last. Is your firm best suited for one of those categories or another, or are you there to assist most anybody in becoming more financially confident?
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. You know, in our firm here, in our office, whenever we sit down and we do a review with somebody, whether they're an existing client or somebody that's called our office from the radio show or attended some of our educational workshops that we host in the Lehigh Valley and Pocono area, a lot of times when they come in, they sit down with us, there's times where they have a solid idea and picture of where they are, where they want to be, and how they want to get there, and just maybe need a couple of pieces to help glue this plan all together. At other times, I've got people that come in and says, my whole life, all I've done is I've worked, and in my job, they forced me to take a couple, dollars out of my paycheck to force me to put it into my 401k and keep me on a budget. I'm worried when I retire next year, how am I going to budget this money? How am I going to make sure I'm drawing on this money for the rest of my life and that I don't run out of it? That's my biggest fear. That's my biggest concern. And that actually is the number one fear that really faces retirees in America today, is running out of money, living too long and not having enough income to sustain them. And that's why understanding the proper fundamental steps of a budget and how your retirement assets are going to be working for you in the 20, 25, 30 years of your retirement is a real crucial piece in order to have a successful retirement. And that is something that we are trying at ASC Financial Group to bring to our listeners and to bring to our community, is this educational information in order to make proper decisions. We really believe that the more educated we are on income planning and sequence risk and diversification, the more we can understand from that, the better decisions that we can make. And we encourage anybody who would like to have more information on these several different topics, please take the time out to sit down with one of us from here at the team and let us give the opportunity to review any types of concerns that you might have that are out there. And this is only going to benefit you as the client, you as the listener out there.
And again, for that complimentary review, evaluation, or just discussion about your financial goals and what your money is doing to help you achieve those, pick up the phone and give a call to ASC Financial Group for a retirement built to last. 800-939-8633. That's 800-939-8633. And Josiah, as we are looking at what I believe is probably the vast majority of people today who are working are saving for retirement inside of their 401ks, this is leading to a lot of apprehension, a lot of uncertainty, because we've seen more market volatility and really nothing inside the 401k is guaranteed in the same way that a pension used to be, correct?
Absolutely correct, Peter.
Even if we're seeing right there on the statement that your projected income in retirement is some amount and it looks like an ample amount, there isn't any certainty that that is actually going to be the case. There are a lot of assumptions being made there, I guess what I'm trying to figure out.
Without question, I can't tell you how many times I've sat down with some of our clients when we do our free complimentary consultation, and we pull out some of their statements, and they've got these target funds. I'm sure for our listeners at home, if you pull out your 401k statements, a good portion of you will probably have these 2025 target funds or 2015. And I can think back to a client of ours who had a target fund, which is essentially their goal for retirement, the date that they think that they're going to retire. And her goal was to retire in 2009. So she had a 2009 target fund with one of these firms with her 401k. And that target fund essentially is just a mix-up Wall Street tells us by asset allocation, how much we should really have in stocks and bonds. And the closer we're towards that retirement age, the more that they're going to have in bonds, essentially. And this target fund that she had when she came to see me, unfortunately in 2008, had lost 35%. Knowing that she was probably going to retire the year or two later. It really changed her lifestyle of what she thought she was going to be able to do. She wound up going back to work for another 3 years because she couldn't afford to live off of what that loss took from that account in that 401k.
Does seeing something like that change your perception of what is appropriate or not appropriate for an investor or a saver or a pre-retiree?
Things of what are appropriate or what are not appropriate, I think is absolutely something that changes from advisor to advisor. I think if you've been listening to this show for the last couple of weeks and months, you can tell that us at our firm here at ASC Financial Group, we are so much more focused on some of those guaranteed aspects, on the guaranteed income payments that can be paid out, and not relying as much as market growth and trying to minimize the importance of how account either grows or the drawdown that account may have if we can replace that by a guaranteed, steady, and predictable payment. So I think that is the biggest obstacle that we face here and that we try to set up with our planning is what's acceptable for some people and what are not. I like to kind of take that out of the picture as much as possible and turn it into more of what we do know is going to happen.
I gather from what you're saying there is that there are ways, certain approaches, certain types of models for how to place our funds for retirement that can create more stability, some more security and predictability, kind of like the pensions were of the past. How do we go about doing this, or what are some of the things that people might not be aware of that are needed in order to make that happen?
I will say there are definitely accounts out there that we are very big proponents of, that some of their single most important factors or features of these accounts is that they are designed to provide a guaranteed and sustainable income stream that you cannot outlive. No matter if you live 10, 20, or 30 years past life expectancy, these accounts are going to be able to draw and provide an income that you can outlive. I would love to discuss any of these type of accounts or processes and strategies that we go over with anybody. If they want to take that complimentary consultation offer, please sit down with us and we can go over our strategies to see how it may benefit directly you and see if there's anything we can help to try to ensure better type of retirement success.
And again, folks, if you would like to take the team from ASC Financial Group up on the offer for a complimentary review and evaluation so that you have a retirement built to last, pick up the phone and give them a call. 800-939-8633 is the number to call. 800-939-8633. And I know that this type of allocation you believe is going to be of benefit throughout retirement. Can you describe some of the benefits of having that income allocation included and incorporated into a larger retirement plan, and maybe how we figure out how to incorporate that? What amount it would take to include a proper income allocation for our retirement security?
Yeah, the amount that it's going to take to ensure a successful retirement is going to be dependent on each person who comes down to sit with us. Not everybody has the same retirement goals and aspirations. One of the things that we like to try to do is we like to try to determine, well, how much do we feel like we may need in retirement? And then we're able to carve out a significant portion of somebody's retirement savings or 401ks designated strictly for the goal for that asset is for income planning. Some of the great benefits that some of these have is regardless of the market goes up or down, you know what type of a return you're going to get. Or more importantly, you know you may not be able to get any losses if the market goes down. As opposed to if the market goes up, we can get some significant returns by participating in a percentage of the market returns. Some of these accounts even have, God forbid, if we wind up having to go to a long-term care facility, we may be able to double the type of income that was being paid out to us to provide and pay for as a long-term care benefit. Some of these huge benefits that can be really important, I think, in today's new world of retirement.
Absolutely. Well, folks, again, those are things that you want to find more about and get the information to make sure that you're protecting not only your income, but some of the additional aspects that Josiah just mentioned there. Pick up the phone and give a call to the team from ASC Financial Group, 800-939-8633. Again, that number, 800-939-8633. And Josiah, we used to hear kind of this phrase, or I have at least heard, that when somebody gets to an elder state and has been retired for a while, that they are on a very fixed income. And that, to me, always had the connotation of negativity there. Like they didn't have a whole lot of additional money to spend. They're on a very fixed income in their later years. However, if we translate that and flash forward another 20 or 30 years to today's retiring generation, because we don't have the pensions, if this generation gets into that same situation where they are not very financially secure, don't have a whole lot of surplus assets, not only are they not going to have the assets, but they're not even going to have that fixed income. In other words, I think that connotation on that phrase is actually a benefit. It's actually a positive thing that this retiring generation had that fixed income, whereas today's retirees, unless they set it up and take the proper steps to do it, once they're out of assets, they're also out of the ability to produce the income with which the previous generation was able to survive.
Absolutely, Peter, I agree with you. And some of these issues that we have going forward, and we've spoke about it a number of times on this radio show, is something called sequence risk. As opposed to somebody about 20, 30 years ago who were on a fixed budget, a fixed income, the only way they can really get into trouble is if they needed to spend more money than what they were getting coming in, is a negative connotation on that end. But you fast forward to today's market environment, somebody who's on, quote unquote, a fixed income or a budget, and if they're following the rule of 4% and they haven't rebalanced their accounts and the market takes a correction, and we know that can really happen at any point. And it's not just a 5% drop down here or there, but it could be as high as 10, 20, 25 or more percent. And really due to no fault of their own, if that market drops down and they're taking money out, it's going to devastate that retirement account because we may not be able to overcome that loss that we've taken. Typically, every loss that you have in your market, you need a double just to kind of break even. And I'll give the listeners an example at home. If you have $100,000 and the market drops down 50%, and I'm just using really nice round numbers here, you have $50,000 left. If the market rebounds and it goes back up 50%, how much do you have? I pose that question a lot to my clients because the easy number that most people think about is, okay, if the market went back up 50%, I've got my 100,000. And you don't. 50% of 50,000 is only 25. You only have 75,000 compared to your 100. You would need to double every loss you took just to break even at that point in time. And so that's why it's really important and vitally concerned to make sure we know what these concerns that we face in retirement, in today's retirement, and what are strategies that we can employ in order to minimize some of these concerns and risks that we face in retirement.
And in that example there, Josiah, your average return over those two periods there, you lose 50, you gain 50. Intuitively, you think your average return is zero, so you should have the same amount. But in fact, that's not the way that real returns work when it comes to your money. And that's what we need to know and understand as we are looking at a period where we have seen more and more market volatility. I mean, we've seen some big swings in the market here over the last 15 years. And every day it seems that the market is moving at a greater degree than it did maybe a decade or two ago. The point spread is larger. The percentage that it moves, whether higher or lower, is greater. The market is more volatile than ever, and I don't think that's going to stop anytime in the near future. Do you think that market volatility is going to continue to affect people's retirement security? And particularly, if you would, explain and sort of expand on that term of sequence risk that you mentioned in just a moment ago.
Sure. And to tie into sequence risk, I'm also going to talk to you about one other risk called longevity risk. See, longevity concern or longevity risk tied in with sequence risk, I think, are the two most devastating concerns a retiree will face out there. And the reason for that is because those are multipliers of all other types of risks or concerns out there. Things like market risk or systemic risk or inflation risk, political risk, interest rate risk. All those types of risks are compounded or multiplied by longevity. If you think of it this way, the longer we live, the more of a chance we have to see market corrections or interest rates dropping or a political spectrum, a company going out of business. Whatever the case is, the longer we live, we have more of an opportunity or more of a chance to see these type of things happening. And when you tie that into where our retirement dollars are coming from, that's really sequence risk that we have to take into account. Sequence risk is a risk that really is not talked about in a lot of advisors that I see giving people different types of advice and recommendations. Sequence risk is now that I'm in retirement or I'm nearing retirement and I'm starting to draw funds from our accounts, how is that going to affect my retirement landscape or my retirement picture? For example, I'm sure most people out there, when the market corrected in the early 2000s and the market corrected in 2008 into 2009, a lot of advisors or brokers out there said, don't worry, it's just a paper loss. It drives me crazy because if you would have pulled your money out in 2007 and you put it on the sidelines, you had an exit strategy, then that market dropping down 37% wouldn't have an effect or a bearing on you. And that's what's the difference between when we take a look at sequence risk. In our 20s, 30s, and 40s, and sometimes even our 50s, that's not as much of a concern because these are retirement dollars. We're not expecting to draw on it. We're kind of just letting it ride. But when we get into our 60s and our 70s and we're actually forced by the government to take out our retirement accounts, our IRAs and 401ks at 70.5, as we start drawing those funds down and the market starts to correct itself, it starts to go down, we could be impacting ourselves on a more drastic scale. It impacts market risk. For example, if the market drops down 10% and we're taking out 3, 4, maybe 5% of our account value every year to live off of, well, that's a correction now with 15% that we've got to overcome. And we would have to gain about a 28 or 30% return just to get back to where we were prior to that market dropping down. And so that's why the longer we live, the more of a longevity risk we have, the more important minimizing sequence risk or the need of taking out that retirement distribution can really benefit us into retirement. If you think about our tagline here at ASC Financial Group, it's a retirement built to last.
Well, folks, if you have concerns about your retirement, I want to tell you that while these issues do sound ominous and while they are serious issues for you to be aware of and consider, there are solutions, and the team from ASC Financial Group have been helping the residents across the Lehigh Valley and the Poconos have a retirement built to last. They are a family business that has been here for decades, and they have served the folks in and around the Poconos and the Lehigh Valley to make sure that they have a retirement that is not subjected to many of these various risks, or where possible, reducing or eliminating them altogether. And if the type of retirement you envision is more about enjoying your time rather than constantly worrying about the market or about the money or about the political environment, then you need to talk with Josiah Grauso, Ralph Grauso, and the team from ASC Financial Group. They do make their time available to you on a complimentary, no-obligation basis. And for that complimentary review, just pick up the phone and give them a call at 800-939-8633. Again, that number, 800-939-8633. We have been discussing some of the difficulties that today's generation of retirees must be prepared to have answers to, some of the problems that they face, but they can help you with many different aspects of your financial planning all along the way in preparing for and transitioning into and making it through retirement. Pick up the phone and give them a call, and they will sit down with you to discuss your financial goals, what's important for you about your money, and make sure that your plan reflects those goals while trying to minimize the taxes that you are paying, the fees that you are paying along the way, the risks that you are being exposed to, and most importantly, making sure that you have the income that you know you can rely on into and throughout your retirement. Pick up the phone and give them a call. Again, 800-939-8633, the number to call, 800-939-8633 for a complimentary review and evaluation. And Josiah, if you don't mind for us, could you just briefly kind of describe that review process? What is somebody going to experience when they make that call and come into the office there at ASC Financial Group?
The way we handle our office here is everybody comes down to see us. Our main mantra, our main goal is information and education. We want to make sure that everybody who walks through our door is more informed by the time that they leave than what they were when they walked in. Making vital decisions could drastically impact where your retirement picture is. We always like to say that when we take a look at our retirement, making informed decisions is the best alternative. Today's environment, unfortunately, we're spending too much time basing our decisions based off of misconceptions and not correct facts that are out there and myths. We want to make sure that you're as informed as possible and that you can properly make educated decisions on your retirement in order to take control. So that's the first type of things that we take a look at in our discovery and our informational process and appointment. We want to make sure we can lay out to you, here are some of the concerns, here are some of the risks that we potentially see. Gives us an ability to get to know you, for you to get to know us as well. If there are things that we can help you with, we're going to let you know that. If there's things that we can't help you with, we'll let you know that too. But if you come and you can talk to us, we're going to be very straightforward. We're going to be very honest, and we're going to give you a detailed plan, in most cases, a written plan laid out in front of you and a recommendation phase of what we would do. And that's followed by making sure that it's clarified, a clarification phase, that if there's certain things that you like of it, great. Certain things we need to change on it, we can do that as well. But again, our main mantra is to make sure that you are educated so that you can make proper decisions.
Well, education and understanding, two critical components to having a retirement that's built to last, and the team at ASC Financial Group take those very seriously. And if you would like to have a better education about your finances, better understanding about what your money is doing for you and how you are working to achieve your financial goals, then I highly encourage you to take them up on the offer for a complimentary review and evaluation process. Again, it costs nothing, and you are under no obligation to them. They will sit down with you, evaluate all aspects of your plans, your investments, how much you're paying for them, what you might be liable for this year and years into the future as far as taxes, reducing and eliminating unnecessary risks, and most importantly, making sure that your plan is set up and designed so that you understand what's going on and are educated about all aspects of your planning. Pick up the phone and give Josiah Grauso, Ralph Grauso, and the team from ASC Financial Group a call now. 800-939-8633. Again, that number, 800-939-8633. Time moves by very quickly here on the program, as it does in life. We want you to make the most out of today to get the most out of tomorrow. And Josiah, we certainly appreciate your time, your knowledge, and expertise in helping us and the listeners make that happen. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much, Peter. It's great being here.
And we'll talk to you next week on Your Game Plan for Retirement.
The content of this radio show is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. You are encouraged to seek investment, tax, or legal advice from an independent professional advisor. Any investments and/or investment strategies mentioned involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.
Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group is solely an indication that the financial advisor has attended training provided by Ed Slott and Company, passed biannual examinations on material covered at conferences and in webinars, and met other membership requirements, and does not constitute an endorsement of any kind. Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group members pay a fee for the educational programs that allow them to be included in the Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group. Membership does not guarantee investment success. Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services. Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.